I'm about to be famous.
You already were, bro. You already were. Okay, so 1 second. Mm. Okay, and we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of the People's Podcast. We have a great couple with us today, Joe and Isabella Brown. Some people, people who I'm looking forward to hearing their love story to give us some information as well as some inspiration. How are you all doing?
Good.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Okay, excellent. For those of you all who all don't know, if it was not for Mr. Joe Brown at in high school, I don't know if I would have been protected and felt secure enough to move around a lot of places. Joe was always nice and man, and he covered down for me and I taught him how to play spades. So we got we good together.
We good.
Okay, the first thing is how did you all first meet?
Go ahead, babe.
Well, the true story goes like this. No, we were both invited to a barbecue, and when I got there, I arrived with a band of hooligans, and she was sitting there looking amazing. And I came in, I spoke to my friend, and then I was just immediately drawn to her. And but I kind of let it play cool for a minute. Then I couldn't help myself but to go over and talk to her. And I guess the rest of it is history, but we can kind of dig into some of that as as you need.
Okay, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And Bella, who why did you accept Joe's, moves that he was trying to his showing interest in you?
Well, that's the funny part. At first, I didn't. I kind of was brushing him off. He had a little bit of game, but not too much. Talking about, do you need a friend and stuff, and I was like, nah, I ain't need no friend. I'm good. So
Okay, that makes sense. And for Joe, for you, where did y'all go on your first date?
So we actually were disputing this matter because what I call a date was anytime I got the opportunity to spend time with her. What
Okay.
she calls a date was when I took her out intentionally.
right.
So
Okay.
I
Okay.
came up to her job one day, and this was the first time after she had told my friend from her initially rejecting me, talking about some you can't have my number and all this stuff.
Yes, sir.
Gonna tell my friend, tell your friend to stay out my dreams. So now she was dreaming about your boy, so I had to go see her. So I went to their job because they worked together, and I started spitting game right there while she was doing what she was doing, and I asked, I said, hey, can I take you to lunch? And she said, yeah, but I got to go to Jewel. So our
Mm.
first date was walking around Jewel, me getting to
Okay.
know her, and she looking at green beans and canned corn for dinner and whatnot.
Yeah. 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 Okay.
Yep.
Beautiful. And for you, Bella, what was it about Joe to let you know that he was the one?
You know what I told him? I'm still trying to figure that one out. He might
Uh,
not be the one. No, I'm just kidding.
uh,
I think the fact that he wasn't afraid to be his own person, he wasn't afraid to tell me no. He wasn't somebody who's gonna promise me the world and, just constantly just make me feel like, okay, you're never going to say no to me.
mm,
I've had people all my life tell me things, oh, you can have this, you can have that, you can have that, and at the end they were like awful. They were dirt bags and stuff like that. So I think pretty much just knowing that he's a man of his word, and that he was willing to just fight for me and be there for me is what made me think that.
okay, great. And that sounds a lot like the Joe that I know. My sister Naima says peace family, and she says, "Oh, that's beautiful." Okay, my next question is, Joe, how did you propose?
Which time? So
Uh,
I was rejected a couple of times for the proposal. And I figured out once she said yes, I figured out what it was that made her say no the first two times.
mm, mm,
So the time that she said yes, we were laying there, we were talking, and I had gone to the store with my father, and I told him, I said, man, I'm gonna marry this woman. And he said, all right, we'll do it right then, boy. And so I went to the store, I got a ring, and the few little dollars I could afford to get a ring with, I said, I'm gonna get this ring right. He said, well, that's a good looking one, get it. So I got it, went back to the house while she's asleep. I'm not gonna give her a chance to tell me no this time. I'm gonna slide the ring on her finger, and then when she opened her eyes to see what I'm doing, I'll propose. And that was how I did that. She was laying there, I slid the ring on her finger, and when she opened her eyes, I said, will you marry me now? And the first two times, the problem was there wasn't no ring involved. She couldn't be sure that there was security in that, So foolish me, young and dumb, knew what I wanted, but wasn't sure the avenues to take it to get there. But yeah, man, we ever since that day when I made that proposal, I vowed to keep the promise.
Beautiful, man. That's beautiful. Okay, and Bella, what was it about you that accepted Joe's proposal for the third time?
Well, definitely the ring. I'm not
Okay.
gonna lie. But I think just I don't know, like I said, seeing his persistence, seeing the fact that he was all in it, he was willing to keep on until we got married, just showed me the type of man that he is. He sees something he wants and he's gonna go after it.
Okay.
I'm like Urkel. I'll be like Urkel. I'm wearing you down, baby.
Okay. Now, Joe, I know you come from a big family.
Yeah.
How did your family accept Bella?
They didn't.
Mm.
They didn't. There
We're still
were
working on some of them.
we really are.
Mm.
There were some who did immediately. There were some who did not. And I think one of the biggest reasons is because there was some complications to this thing. So Bella already had two girls when I met her.
Mm.
So I said, okay, seeking to have her and all that comes with her, I knew that meant that, all right, you're going to be an immediate dad. And so my parents and my parents and some of my siblings, they saw that, well, you ain't got no kids. Why you married somebody got kids now?
Yes, ma'am.
And in my calculation of the matter, I said, well, because if I get her and I marry her and I want a big family, I guess I got a head start. So, so yeah, it was that. But as we have continued to grow in our love for one another discipling our family and just saturating my other family with what our love looks like, just constantly putting that in their face, they can't help but be just enthralled with what we're creating here, what we're blossoming into.
Beautiful.
So yeah, man.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. And Bella, how did your family accept Joe?
My siblings, I think, did better than his siblings did.
Yeah.
With the exception of my sister. My sister took a little bit to warm up there.
Yeah.
But my mom, she didn't catch him on his best day, so immediately she was like, "Oh, he's a loser." So I had to kind of coach her through that whole situation. I was like, "No, Mom, he just worked a long day at work, and then he was running me around places, and then now you're just seeing him. So when you see, like, my mom, she's a very proud woman, and
Yes,
and she believes you got to work hard for what you get. And so, like, seeing Joe sitting there slumped over, looking all tired, eyes all red and everything, she's like, "Oh my gosh, you just brought me some high drunk loser or something up here." And I'm like, "No, he was just really, he's tired from work,
Yeah.
And so she didn't believe it, but she loves him now, and she's able to see his character from what she originally thought to what he actually is.
Well, to put that more in context, she took me to her mother's job, and her mother works in a dentist's office, and there's a room of potential patients, and I'm filthy from working overnight warehouse. Faces all beat up. I got most scraggly looking hair on it, eyes bloodshot, the same color as your hat, and I'm sleepy. I worked the overnights then. And when she saw me, I looked like a bag of trash.
Yeah,
She was like, "Who's this loser?" Like I heard her call me, like this woman has no filter. She was like, who's this loser?
Yeah.
And that was awesome because I knew where I stood at that moment. I'm already at the bottom with her. I can go nowhere but up at this point.
That's beautiful, man. Okay, great. And Sister Linda says her stepfather was a great father to her and her sisters. Okay, so she's saying that she's seeing that work. That's beautiful. And thank you, Joe, for stepping up, man, and covering down like that. My next question is, what has been your greatest joy in marriage for you, Joe?
Greatest joy. I would say, I don't know if your show is PG-13, if we can be adults, but the commencing of the union, honestly. Okay. And it's a great joy because it's a physical expression of I love you. And everything that I do day in and day out, I have huge joy in going to work. I have huge joy in being able to provide for my family. But how do I keep telling my wife that I love her and her only, specifically? I can buy diamonds all day. Now, I bought diamonds. I can buy a house and cars and all right. But I just want to say thank you in a way that only I can.
That's beautiful. Okay. And for you, Bella, what has been your greatest joy?
I think just seeing that our family has just been growing, and that, although we are a blended family and it's not typical for blended families to stay together, like we've been married 14 years and, it's just been a blessing. And yeah, we do fight. We don't have like a perfect marriage, but we have a marriage and we're willing to fight for our marriage, despite anybody saying anything, we're willing to fight for it.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay. And Joe, what has been and thank you all for continuing to watch the People's Podcast. A lot of people are liking it and showing you all love. And Joe, what has been your greatest trial in marriage and how have you overcome that?
Yeah. So I suck as a communicator. And as much as I talk, I suck at listening, and understanding. And that's been my greatest trial, not understanding that I don't understand. And not understanding that me answering your question or battling your opinion doesn't show love. Not understanding that. So being able to ask for input on how to understand you better, being able to go to men who have been married longer than me, that are smarter than me, and
yes sir,
and seem more joyful in their marriage after 25, 30, 40, 50 years, and saying, okay, what do I do? And I would say overcoming that trial comes from honestly being rooted and grounded in the word first and foremost, and then secondly being humble enough to go and ask these other men, hey, help me out, because I don't want to be a blind leader. I got to lead these people, my wife and my children. I don't want to fall in a ditch and take them in there with me. So overcoming that has been humbling myself. And my parents have been married for, gosh, man, I want to say 57 or 58 years this year, I believe. And I go to my pops and I say, hey, man, look, I'm gonna need you. We got to take a long walk. This man 80 years old. So, a long walk might just be around the block. It just take us a long time. It's a short walk, but it take a long time.
Yes, sir. Yes,
and
sir.
I get his opinion, or I go to other men who are, 25 years into the marriage and say, how did you battle this area? And what did you do? Because I look at that as some of that is going to war on behalf of my marriage for my wife and I to have joy and joy unending.
That's beautiful, Joe. Okay, and Bella, for you, what has been your greatest trial and how have you overcome it?
I think just the fact that I need to let people in. And so like Joe was saying, he is a big talker, and sometimes he talks in the form of asking 1,000 questions, and I'm not a person who receives that well. So after a while, I'm just like, okay, that's enough. That's you talking too much. You're asking too many questions. Like, why do you need to know all my business? I think that has been just our trial, just the communication aspect of being able to realize, he's my partner, he's my everything, and I need to be able to rely on him. And for us to do that, I need to be able to talk to him, and he has to be able to understand me. So yeah.
That's great. Okay. And my next question for you, Joe, is what do you do for fun?
Man, I've taken all of the stereotypes of what Black people don't do, and I've been trying to.
Okay.
So you get me out here in the country, man. I love camping. I love shooting. I love fishing.
Okay.
I love riding my motorcycle and
Go ahead, Joe.
getting caught in the rain.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So, but as far as doing that for fun together, I love when she goes to the range with me. I love when her and I can just sit back and get lost. Just take long drives out in the country and get lost, and then have to find our way back and talk about it. Yeah.
That's beautiful. I'm coming to you, Bella, but I have a quick question from somebody. I'm going to mess your name up, but Ning, I would say. He said, I'll start with you, Bella. No, I'll start with you, Joe. How do you manage the difference of the children that are not yours biologically?
I guess one of the things is to give everybody some sort of foundation. When I started leading the girls, they were 5 and 2. And Bella and I have been together for 15 years. We've been married for 14. And like I said, they were 5 and 2. And we did not introduce our relationship as stepdad and stepkids. We introduced the relationship as dad children. And that, I think, helped us to hurdle a whole bunch of problems from the beginning. And then regularly, we're open with talking to the girls because Bella had 2 girls when I met her, and we've got 4 boys together. So when you asked how many kids we have earlier, we'll never make a differentiation in that. You see what I mean? And they will never make a differentiation. They know and understand that that's my dad. That's my, he may not have helped make me, but he's raised me. When I scraped my knee, there he was. So to answer that question in short is, don't make a distinction, and the children won't either. And when I punish the girls, I will punish them with the same love and discipline force that they need. The same as when I praise the girls, I'll do that unequivocally as well.
Yes, sir.
So
yes, sir.
It's not any distinction made. All right, Bella, those are your girls. You punish them, and these are our boys. I'll take care of that. No distinction. Girls, you'd messed up. Now you're gonna learn today. You know what I mean? So yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, beautiful. And for you, Bella, my question for you is, what do you do for fun? What do you do for fun?
Well, lately I haven't really had a lot of time to do fun stuff, but I like watching movies. I like swimming, so I like being in water. I'm really into the water scene, although lately I haven't had that chance, but I do like that. I don't know. I like spending time with my family. I like seeing the kids enjoy their stuff. I get poured into like their dramas or like their activities and stuff, so it's fun for me.
Okay, excellent. And I'm coming back to you, Joe. The person said thank you, and so love it says beautiful. My next question for you is, how has quarantine affected your relationship, your marriage? No.
Yeah. So
that's a great question.
Since the beginning of our marriage, we've not spent this much time together just due to busyness and work.
Yes, sir.
And more so work. So when we first got married, I was working evenings, she was working mornings. So we'd see each other for a slight passing in the mid-afternoon or late at night. But Bella goes to bed early, and I stay up real late, and I get up early, and she wake up later on in the day as well. But she'd be gone. So the quarantine, I would say, first and foremost for our marriage, it has opened our eyes to the fact that we haven't spent enough time together.
Mm, mm,
And
mm.
it is giving us the opportunity to realize, okay, I really believe God is opening a door for us to really understand one another better, to communicate, to grow and develop. How do we capitalize on that, and how are we intentional about capitalizing on that? So I believe quarantine has been a pretty good thing as far as marriage and parenting goes.
Beautiful. And for you, Bella, how has it affected you?
I think it's given us the opportunity to like see areas that we need to work on, just as a married couple, like things that we've had to either put on the back burner, or we've always said, oh, we're going to get back to that later, or we just haven't actually sat down and talked about as far as like our future plans, or even just our expectations for the kids now that they're, a lot of them are older. It's just given us the opportunity to be able to do that. It's also giving us the opportunity to see where do we want to go to the next level with our marriage. We've had the opportunity to mentor some little couples at our church and stuff like that, and just our kids, like the girls are getting older. Like I have one in college and one who's a senior. They're going to be going off to get married soon themselves. We need to be able to say, okay, what are our expectations of them? What are going to be the new ground rules? Because at the end of the day, they're not little girls anymore, and the boys are not little boys anymore. So like, what does that look like? Our kids, most recently they came and petitioned for a later bedtime, and I was like, maybe we should consider a later bedtime. They're still going to bed at the same time they were going when they were 5 years old.
Yes, ma'am.
But things like that, we've been using that opportunity now that we're both home with the quarantine to be able to do that. And we've been doing a lot of like family outings and stuff.
Yeah.
Like going to the beach and all that craziness.
Okay, great. My sister Mimi says, peace, family. Dwight says that you're his boy, Joe. Of course, I'm assuming. And my next question is, Joe, what advice would you give to future husbands?
I would tell any future husband, understand who created marriage, first and foremost.
Yes, sir.
And then once you understand that, get married young, love hard, and look for ways to fight for your marriage with your spouse, so that the trajectory of your marriage is always set on amazing.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
Excellent. And before I come to you, Bella, with your advice, Joe, are you ever going to officially become a man of the cloth and become a preacher?
So, in ways, I have always evangelized and have loved doing that. I don't know if God has that as my next step in life, and I only say that because few are called to do this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so that's a high calling, and I would never desire to misrepresent Christ in that way. So I would say that if the Lord has it as an opportunity for me, I'm all in. I do it in a heartbeat, because I know that spreading the word and spreading his love is ultimately one of the greatest gifts, the greatest joys that you could ever share in.
Yes, sir.
So to do that at that high level, oh man, I jump all over that. So I'm not gonna say no, it'll never happen, because I do say that I serve in my church very very intricately, and there were times that I was so in the church and serving intentionally and sharing the word so regularly that man, shoot, it almost felt like I was in the ministry.
Yes, sir. Yes,
So,
sir.
Yeah, I would love to. It'd be awesome.
Beautiful. And as long as I've known you, you've always been an upstanding man who represented God well to the people. So I appreciate that. And Bella, for you, what advice would you give to future wives?
I guess I would tell them that, one, submission to your husband is not an awful thing. It doesn't mean that you're their slave. You do still have a voice. You do still have a big role in the marriage, but it does mean that you guys are taking the opportunity to be able to discuss things. And communication is the biggest factor that you need to work on in your marriage, which means that as a wife, you're going to have to let your husband into parts of your world that either they weren't expecting or you didn't plan on sharing. So it really, it's a big role for both of the man and the wife in the marriage.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. And Sister Linda says, beautiful advice. Thank you, Sister Linda, for always showing love. And Joe, what advice would you give to future fathers?
You don't know what you're gonna get. Just remember the things that you dished out, because my daddy always says that my daddy has been just a very devout man of Christ ever since I've known the brother.
Yes, sir.
And one thing he always tells us is, he says, son, remember, you sowed the wind, so you're gonna reap the whirlwind.
Yes, sir.
So,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know, I mean, he was always giving us scripture about what to expect from your kids, and how, you know, you can raise them according to the word, but you don't control them. You lead them, you guide them, you teach them, you help them develop into being wonderful people. That does not mean they will not haul off and leave everything that you've shown them for a season and be somebody completely different.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know, but one of my favorite scriptures is Proverbs, I believe it's 22:6, that says, bring them up in the way that they ought to go, so that when they get older, they won't depart from it.
Yes, sir.
So
yes, sir.
You instill that in them. You pour that into them, who they ought to be, who they should be growing up, and then once they begin making their own choices, decisions, and they're wondering what desires to give into, they're going to remember what you told them. They're going to remember these things, and sometimes it's hard to let go. It's really hard, but you have to be ready to let them go, partially in pieces. In some areas, just let go all the way, because they've got to grow up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Grow up. So,
okay,
yeah.
Beautiful. And for you, Bella, what advice would you give to future mothers?
Every child is different. Every situation, although you want to keep things pretty much, you know, organized in your house, every situation and every child is different. Don't expect that the way that you raise one is going to be exactly how you raise the other, just because their personalities can change. And I mean, we've got 6 kids, and foundationally, yes, they have the same set of guidelines and rules, but individual ways that we discipline them or even teach them stuff is been making a big change, a big difference. Like even the twins, they're like night and day, you know, in some stuff. So like we could tell them all the same stuff. It's just the way that we explain it to them has to be different. So you just have to be ready for that. And make sure you know your spouse, because the trouble that they had when they was little sometimes comes back to get you. It comes back to get you. I know there's a couple things that baby Joe he's done, and I'm like, where would you even think to do that? And I talked to this one here, and I'm like, oh, this is you. You brought this into my family.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay, beautiful.
Yeah.
Trouble.
My sister Val says yes to your advice. Joe, my question for you is, because you play football, right?
Yeah.
You know, you defensive, hitting people, you know, knocking people out. Is there any pressure for you to put on 4 sons to play sports, or is that something that you leave up to them?
Nope. I never had that desire, as a lot of men have, to live vicariously through their sons.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to be their own individual. I got a kid that can probably throw a football as straight as most people can draw a line with a ruler. And if he chooses football, wonderful. If he doesn't, I'm okay with that. Now, I will try to push them towards what seems to be their gifting, because again, you know, bring them up in the way they ought to go, right?
Yes,
so
sir. Yes, sir.
Ought to go towards this thing because the Lord has specifically gifted you for this. I got another son that 11 years old, taught himself how to play the drums a few years ago, and is still teaching himself. So, you know, my wife said it'd be a great idea, buy them a set of drums. You know, I have kids that have specific giftings. One of my daughters, she can, just out of the blue, she wanted to teach herself how to paint nails and this, that, and the third. And in all that, we said, you know what, you're so good at this stuff, you have such a passion for it and a desire for it. We're gonna put you in you know, cosmetology, because that'll help you to develop that gift. So in no way, shape, or form do I want to push me on them. I want them to be the individuals that God created them to be, but living in their gifting.
Beautiful. Okay. And Bella, for you having daughters or sons, do you feel pressure to guide them or push them in a certain direction as well?
I don't feel guided. No, I don't. Sometimes we'll push harder with the sports because my family is a big sports family. And I see that they're excited about it. And so if I see that it's bringing them joy doing an activity, I will push harder. I go in full force. Like he was saying about my son who plays football, like I will eat, live, and breathe football during football season because that is his joy. But at the same token, you know, with the others, I have poured into their interests too. Like my daughter, who's a cosmetologist, I let her do my hair, my nails, my everything. You know, I'll be her test dummy. You know, my other one who was in band, she always was like, Mom, come hear me. When she started out, she was awful. We had to put her on the back porch. But we went dedicated and faithful to every single concert, and she plays amazing now. She plays several instruments.
Beautiful, beautiful,
so I think at times, yes, I can push a little bit too hard because I see their passion and I don't want them to be quitters. I don't want them to give up on the things that they enjoy doing. But at the same token, if I see that it is done, you know, like we're done with that season, then I'll let it go.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank you all. I just want to say that my experience in Naperville North playing football would not have been fun if it was not for Joe Brown. He was my brother, man. He was my big brother, man, and playing spades, and we took classes. It was just my experience with Joe was fun. His whole family was very from Larney to Mimi to everybody. They were just protective, and we were all we had in Naperville. So I appreciate you, Joe. I appreciate your family. Thank you for loving my friend Bella. So I haven't seen you in years, Joe. I hope to see you soon. Hopefully after all of this is over. And I believe that God will set it up so that I can come hear you preach a sermon, because I believe that's your calling, bro. I believe that's your calling. So I look forward.
I appreciate that.
Man, and may God bless you and your families. Thank y'all for coming on the People's Podcast. It means a lot to me.
Thank you for having us.
All right. And you all have a great day. And thank you all for watching the People's Podcast.